wonderful people, thank you so much for tuning in. It's your favorite alien Suhaidatu here with another banger of a video. Thank you so much for showing up. If it's your first time, I really hope you enjoy my channel and you find this video hugely beneficial. And if you know me, you know I keep it fresh and I've got some good tips for you today. As I tend to do, I asked on Instagram what you guys would like to see from me this week. And many of you said you wanted tips on renting in Accra. So tips you are going to get. Before we proceed, huge shout outs and a big thank you to S Naka. They came up with a suggestion to do a video on renting in Accra because they are looking for a place to live now. And they saw that I have a cute little crib and they thought maybe I'd be a good resource person on the matter. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, that big red button down there. Yes, please hit it so that you can see my content frequently, and hit the bell button. That button will notify you every single time I make a video so you don't miss even a one. Not even a one. As I usually say, leave comments. Okay, you are watching, you are ho ha and laughing, kicking with your girl. Be leaving those comments. I'm watching right alongside you and I am ready to respond and kiki back. Matias here. Let's keep it moving. Renting in Accra is wahala, kalabule, 419, all wrapped into a big messy box. If you don't know this, you've probably not been house hunting hustler style. House hunting hustler style comes with a lot of frustration. It comes with a lot of pain, disappointment, and if you don't take care, you might wind up paying a lot for something that you might come to regret later. It's not easy to navigate finding a good place to rent. If the roof is not leaking, the tap is not working. If that's not the case, doom so all the time, or it's too far from work, there is always something that makes moving complicated, that makes staying where you move to complicated, that stresses you out. So I am going to share some of the tips I have come to learn the hard way from moving. The first time I tried to move from home was in 2017, and I was moving with my friend Freddie. This move was mutually beneficial because Freddie's rent was up in Adenta and he was looking to move somewhere closer to work. I was looking to move closer to work and away from my mother, but I didn't have enough money. So Freddie decided that he was going to pay the balance of whatever it was that I had because he was already paying so much for rent, in order for us to get like a 2-bedroom and we can each cover living expenses and keep it moving. It sounded like a brilliant idea, and at that time I was preparing to travel. I had a travel opportunity I was exploring, but you know these things, traveling with a Ghanaian passport is a hassle that I will go through. It's a really good story. I'll share on that later. But I was preparing to travel while moving out, and so I thought anyway, it would be a good investment opportunity because while I was away for a month or two, I could put my room up on Airbnb while I was away and make some money. So for me, it was a really good idea. So Freddie and I found a really beautiful place after exhaustive searches online, paying a bunch of agents, throwing money away, combing town after work. We finally found a nice place called Stonehill Apartments in Spintex. It was just off the Papaya on Spintex Road, and it was a really nice place. And like we said, I was paying like maybe 30% of the rent and he was covering 70% because it was an agreement that we both had from the onset. But my traveling plans fell through while I had already given my room away for the months that I was supposed to be away. So I decided to move back home so that my guests can use the place, and then when they left, I'd move back in. While I was away, he just texted me and said, since he paid so much for the place, he wants to keep it and run a business with it. Friends will do that to you. Friends will do that to you. Freddie and I are cool, so I'll share this. We both moved out on terms that we had both agreed to. But in the end, once I think he realized that I was going to make really good money for renting my room for a few months, he decided to turn his good gesture into a business venture. So yeah, I sold him my mattress and things like that and took my money and moved back home to live with my mom. That was how my first rent out experience in Accra went. I guess the lesson you can learn from my first story is If you are going to move in with someone, make sure you know them very well. If you don't know them very well, make sure there's a contract in place that safeguards your rights, just so they can't toss you out because they paid more money in the end. It's very, very important. Another thing you can learn from this is that it's always okay to move back home if things don't work the first time. There are always false starts. Be gentle with yourself. Show yourself some grace. Also, don't leave home on bad terms. If you're a young, broke person like myself and you want to move out for the first time, don't leave home on bad terms. It is going to be extremely hard to come back if things don't work out well. So I hope that is clear. That was my first moving attempt, and I learned so many lessons from house hunting with Freddie and living with him. I learned so much. So when I went back home, a few months after trying to live by myself, I had a lot to ruminate on and a lot of time ahead of me to plan. The first thing you need to do, the very, very first step on the drawing board for moving out, is planning. Whether you are a first-time mover or you've been doing it for years, you always need to plan. And it is best to start planning at least a year to moving out. This is because you need time to especially save, but also to check out locations and to weigh your options properly. Moving is a big decision. You don't want to take it within months. Sometimes there is an emergency, sometimes it just can't be helped. But when it can be helped, please give yourself a year. Give yourself a year to make up your mind, to change your mind, to choose colors, to fantasize, daydream. Because when it is a year, you might even finish planning the logistics and the rest is just interior decor. And you have time to think and stew about it. So when you're implementing, it's much nicer. Do your research. It's important. It's important to know what the market looks like. Thanks to the internet, there are so many real estate sites now. You can actually just go there and browse through, filter the houses by location, filter by size, filter by furnishing, and look at how much things cost. It will give you an idea of how much you may have to pay. Okay, so do that research. It's very important to be informed. You don't want to walk in blind. So if you are interested in this neighborhood, go online, go on OLX, go on Gigi, go on Tonaton, go on all these places where they allow people to do real estate, and look at the houses available. Look at how much they cost, so that you have a fair idea of how much you're supposed to pay. Another good tip is when to look. When to look for houses, or when is the good time to move out. From Accra trends, I'd say the best time to move out is normally towards the end of the year. Ghanaians have a trend of at least living somewhere for a full year, starting from January to December. So normally by October, November, December, people's advances are running out and they are either looking for somewhere to stay or they are renewing it. Many people are moving around this time, so houses are freeing up. It's a good time to be looking for a place to stay. I would say look a few months in advance, but really, if you're looking, October, November, December normally has a lot of options on the market because people are moving out, especially fixer-uppers. So it's a good time to be looking. So we are on the planning stage. First thing that I would consider when I am moving is location. This is Accra. If you're moving out, it means you need to be able to finance living independently. That means you need to have a job. It is important that your work does not stress you out. Commute in Accra can be stressful depending on where you live. This is important for considering location. If you have a job, it is best to move close to work because if it's to and fro, you are going to have commute issues. If you have a job in Tema, don't go looking for houses in Bawe. The houses in Bawe can be 300 cedis and the houses in Tema can be 500 cedis. But you'll be spending an extra 300 cedis in transport and you'd be wasting about 5 hours a day in traffic. It would stress you out. It would make you tired. It will make you irritable. Work commute contributes to a high level of stress for many people. So it's good when you're thinking location to move close to work or school. If commute is not a big factor for you because you have a car or you work from home, you have a sugar daddy or mommy, things of that nature, then what you'd want to consider is how much you are paying for the place, the money, the kudi, the l'argent. It's important, and also how accessible the place is in meeting your needs. If you're somebody like me who enjoys moving up and down and exploring areas, maybe you want to live somewhere central and accessible via trotro. Hustler babies who want to live in accessible places, you normally want to find places like Circle, you want to find places like Osu, you want to find East Legon, because these places are kind of fairly economically distributed, so you can find a nice central location that meets your pocket. If you move to Oyarifa, Ifitre baby, and then you have to take an Uber before you see the light of day, you worry yourself, because you end up spending way more money than you would have spent if you moved to a more accessible location. This is the golden rule to location renting in Accra. If your financial needs outweigh your accessibility needs, you want to rent in places that are more out of the way, like Oyarifa, Pokwase, Dodowa, Tema. Because in places like that, you get very, very spacious, nice places for a song. You get very nice places that are affordable. You can spread out, get 2-bedroom houses for like 400 cedis and things like that. Really, really affordable. But if accessibility is a higher priority, then you might want to consider getting a smaller place like I have here. Here I have just a really small single room with a really small kitchen, a really small toilet and bath. It's small, but I pay less and it's accessible because accessibility was my highest priority. If you need space and accessibility is not a problem, move out of town, move to Dome, move to those places. But if you could manage your space and accessibility is a big factor, move to Osu, move to Spintex, move to East Legon, move to places where you won't spend so much on lorry fare. Capiche? Another thing you want to consider when you're moving into a new place is utilities. In Accra, the consistency of utility directly correlates with location. So if you need to have constantly flowing water, if you need to have assured internet connection, not one that is 2G and edge, and if you need to not suffer doomsor, then it means that you want to live in a place that you are assured of all these utilities functioning at maximum capacity. Places that are like that are usually expensive, but lucky for us young working people, there are slightly up and coming places that are still affordable. So places like Ashaliboche are very affordable, but all the amenities or utilities work well. I suggest Ashaliboche. Ashaliboche is a good place to be looking for places these days. More jobs are coming out there. They are building the roads nicely. They have the utilities, they have the amenities, so it's a good place to look into. Utilities are important. You don't want to move to Teshi. Teshi, hey, you cry. You cry. There are some parts in Teshi like Yombo Spence. They'll turn off the lights and you are just there. You are just there for like 2-3 days, no electricity. What tampo de bobo, it comes like once a week, once 2 weeks. If you move somewhere like that, you are in trouble. When you're moving out, you need money. If you don't have money, don't even think about moving out, because you need to have that capital to invest in the place you're going to stay. If you're a hustler moving out, the chances of you finding a problem-free residence to just move into is very low. You might have to fix things up yourself. So when you get your rent money, over budget by at least 20%. So if your budget for moving out is 10,000 cedis, if your budget is 15,000 cedis, it's 50,000 cedis. Always over budget by at least 20%. So you have the rent that you pay to your landlord, that just goes with the wind. And then you have the money for minor fixes that your landlord might overlook. If you try to wait for landlords to fix your issues will remain and you'll live with it. They don't live with you. So have that in your bag for the plumber, for the mason, for those minor fixes. It is safe to have a little extra that may come in handy than to need a little extra and not have planned for it. The real estate market keeps rising. You might find something that works better than what you were imagining, and all you might need is a little extra. You won't want to miss out on it for that reason. So I'd always say over budget. Don't just read the price tags and just give the money away like that. Try to negotiate. Because your landlord, whoever is renting out the place, is also looking to make a sale. You are looking to make a purchase. This is Ghana. Yes, rent is what they be. All is fair in love, war and haggling in Ghana. Rent is war. ask for a reduction, negotiate, haggle, cook up a story, look sad. Don't go house hunting looking like this. Go house hunting wearing akamelas. Don't look serious. Basicify yourself before you go house hunting so that you understand. Yes, try to look basic and always think about your money. So negotiate. Let's talk about digital house hunting versus hunting on foot. Digital house hunting, of course, has several benefits. I actually found my place online. I found my place on gg.com. It's really beneficial. It's very convenient. You sit in your house, you can see pictures of the place, you can see the location, there's a phone number you can call for details, and all of that. The downside are agents. Agents want you to pay 50 cedis, 30 cedis, 40 cedis to go and show you one house. It might only be one house they know in the area, and then you might not hear from them for weeks. Even though they are charged with finding you the place, you might end up spending like 300, 400 cedis paying different agents to be looking for houses for you. That kind of makes hunting online very tedious. Another thing that makes hunting online tedious is disappointment. These people who run the ads and the campaigns online forget to take the listings off once they are sold or rented. So they leave it there. You see listings that will touch your heart, listings that you really want to get to. And then after chasing, you find out that it's been gone months before. So yeah, there are all these prospects that are truly unavailable that break your heart. Also, there are scammers. There are people that post fake pictures that lead you on, lure you into corners and take your money. It is very real. These online platforms that allow real estate do their very best and go the extra mile to make sure you're protected. But it is still very, very hard because this is Ghana, this is Accra, this is the world. We don't really trust people like that. So it makes online transactions and meeting people a little scary and sketchy. So those are the upsides and the downsides. House hunting on foot is frustrating. It's downright frustrating because it means you have to move physically. You need to leave the comfort of your house and search. You might find something, you might not find anything. Only God knows. All you know is this is the neighborhood I want to live in. You walk there, you see the watch seller, you ask, Madam, are there houses for rent? You basically go around asking. And if there is, you try to meet the person. I prefer this way. Personally, I prefer it because if you're moving into a new neighborhood, it's great to acquaint yourself with it. And people in the neighborhood give you reliable information you may not hear from that agent or landlord that is trying to get your money. So if you enter a community, it's important to be friendly. Ask anybody you see, are there any houses for rent available? Do you know anything like that? If they do, they will let you know. Also, you get to test the amenities of the place for yourself. If the place is really utility friendly, you find out from the people who have been living there long before than somebody who is like while they are just trying to get your money. So hunting on foot is tedious. It may lead to disappointments. You don't exactly get to cut out agents because sometimes you run into agents. But I think it's more direct. You don't have to pay the percentages you pay agents that you find online because you pay directly to the landlord and you get to negotiate things for yourself. I think I prefer that, but then it's up to you. You get to decide or you get to combine both, however best it suits you. This is something they don't tell you, but it's an important thing to consider when you're a young broke person moving out. Compound houses. Compound houses come with their own politics, you get it. And as a young person, there might be certain expectations on you because you're young. They might be expecting you to scrub extra or sweep or do certain things. So if you're also going to move into a compound house, it is good to kind of know your neighbors and know how to deal with them and have it at the back of your mind that there might be certain compromises that you may have to make. Although there are apartment options, compound houses also have their benefits. If it's raining, your neighbor can take your laundry up the line for you. If the boiler car comes, they can help you with the boiler. If your broom gets missing, if you need to borrow sugar, it's good to cultivate such friendships in a compound house. It's a good place to also learn different cultures, make new friends and things like that. and it is more friendly, I guess, than living in an apartment where you and your neighbors don't even talk. I would say when you don't have money, don't go looking for perfect looking houses. Look for good enough houses that you can glam up. If the plumbing works, if the electricity works, if you have your own meter, if the roof is not leaking, if it's well ventilated, sister, take it. These are things that insist on from the landlord. Insist on. Things like painting, you choose the color. Chill out with that. Fan, porch, all of those are things you can negotiate later. But these are things that if they are broken, they might cause you long-lasting problems living in the house. So appraise your house. Those are the factors. Look out for them. Another key thing is contracts. Contracts. Make sure that you have contracts that are really airtight and serve your interests. Okay. So some of the things that I had in my contract was I was renting for 2 years, but then I get to continue renting for at least 5 years. This way, when I'm making investments in the place, I don't feel bad because I know that I have the option of renting this place for 5 years at this rate. Maybe you rent the place for 1 year for 300 cedis a month. You can have a clause that says you get first dibs on the house, renting it for the next 5 years at an inflation rate of maybe 10%. It means that the rent cannot rise above 10% of what you initially paid for the next 5 years, and you get the first choosing of whether or not you want to keep renting it. This allows you to make heavy investments on the house because you know that you can reap from it in future. Another thing that I think is important that you agree with your landlord is rent control laws. The rent control department was set up to guide renting and real estate in Ghana, so let it protect you. Make sure that in your clause at least there is the landlord and I hereby by the signing of this contract agree to adhere by the laws and policies of Ghana rent control. It means that your contract is binding by all the clauses and policies and rights that you are entitled to as a tenant. And it also binds you to responsibilities, but then you want those rights on your side should things go left. So make sure that there is that clause in your contract. The next thing you want your contract to feature is the probability of subletting. Subletting is important because some landlords want to demand 2 years, 3 years. Maybe you want to live there just for a year. Maybe your job transfers you. You do not have all the guarantees that you will be living there for so long, but they want all your money. You want the option of subletting. So it means that if you have to move out, you get to rent your house to whoever you want to rent it to for the duration of what you paid. So if you paid for 10 years, for the next 10 years, you get to rent it out for however much you want to rent it out for. It's not the landlord's business. It's an important clause that you want to have in your contract. When I travel, I like to sublet my place in order to supplement my travel expenses. Renting on Airbnb is good. People are making those investments these days, even instead of renting out full time. So if you're able to have that in your clause and your job transfers you, you do not lose money. That's it, folks. These tips have been really good and I hope that you remember them. Let's go over them quickly. Whenever you want to move out, whether it's your first time or you do it multiply, always try planning at least a year ahead. These are the things you want to plan about, where you want to move to. Here are the factors that should affect that: the utilities of the place, the accessibility, the pricing. Then the place you want to move to. What you want to affect that is the ventilation, the electricity, plumbing, water supply, internet connection. Plumbing, water supply, internet connection, accessibility, pricing. These are the things you want to consider for the house itself. If you want a big space in a central location, you will lose money. If you want a big place in a remote location, you won't lose money. If you want a small place in a central location, you won't lose money. These are factors you consider. Your contracts. There are certain vital facts that need to be in your contracts that you must consider. Living in a compound house versus living in an apartment. Haggling. House hunting on foot or doing it online. Budgeting. I am definitely going to make a second video on renting in Ghana, and that video will focus on how to glam up your place. It's always good to get a fixer-upper because they are affordable and they allow you to choose from varying locations. Once you get them, you can make them look any way you want them to look with a little kudi and a little creativity. I'm ready to share all those tips and walk you through how I decorated my place while sharing very, very useful insights. So look out for that video. It will hit your screens very soon. If you insist, send me money and I'll do it fast. Thank you guys so much for sticking and staying. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Thank you so much for staying tuned. I love you so much. Eternally yours, Suhaida too. Bye.